Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Linen Otter here to do another episode of One Last Night. Last time we had a weird, I don't even know what happened last time. They decided to go bathing inexplicably, and Dorian was like, let me flirt and tease with the, bat kid that I'm with. But we're gonna go ahead and just continue and see if we're gonna finally continue making our way over to the town of Haven. It wasn't a long trek before we were back and moving forward on the path. The light had dimmed, the trees blocking out a good portion of the twilight sky, but providing enough to let us see where we were going fairly easily. Everything was once again painted with the warm colors that accompanied the setting sun, a fact I'd never quite grown used to. As if naturally following this unnatural cycle, the forest had quieted somewhat as the wild animals settled down for the extended evening. A pleasant silence passed between the two of us as Xavier sidled up next to me. I took comfort in the fact that for the first time in a while I wasn't alone. Well, wasn't alone with someone I felt I could trust at least. I'd run into some bandits here and there, as well as a few survivors during my time out by myself, but I never managed to feel truly safe around any of them. Yet with Xavier, that changed almost instantly. To be honest, the sensation kind of scared me, which is why I kept at least a few degrees of separation from fully trusting him. The last thing I needed right now was to grow attached only to end up betrayed. Still, I couldn't help but think back and compare the past year with all I'd accomplished. As I was contemplating that, is when, sorry. I'm gonna turn my thing off. My phone on silent. As I was contemplating that is when Xavier decided to break the silence. So, I want to talk more about Haven. Oh, hey, there you go. You and me both. Be my guest. I know you have all this faith and trust in them, and I'm sure they've earned it. But how long exactly have you known them? Is it really long enough to be able to put your full loyalty towards them? Of course, I've been there since the start. Of course, I've been there since the start. After all. Wait, really? Yep, you're talking to one of the founding members of Haven. How'd you manage that? Right place, right time, I guess. I'd made connections with some other survivors early on, helping the injured and scavenging for resources. Then when the Faded appeared, it kind of forced us into our own groups for protection. I wound up joining forces with those survivors and making a base camp in the suburbs, closer to the outskirts than the urban areas. Slowly, the community grew in both members and resources. I remember the day when they found a bunch of seed packets for different fruits and vegetables. People were ecstatic, but we didn't know whether they'd grow properly or not due to the lack of sunlight. For whatever reason, the plant seemed to be thriving in this environment, so that was a massive stroke of luck. That's great and all, but did you say other groups? Did you really think in a city this big there'd only be one concentration of survivors? Xavier reddened at the question. Fair point. Some are allies to Haven, but others hold a more hostile attitude, none more so than the bandits. Bandits? Ah, crap. This really does seem like an apocalypse. I give a laugh at his remark. You're telling me. Why did you leave it behind then to move out here? Oh, it wasn't to move here per se. This is just one of the locations I've been at. I left because although it felt good to help people and be surrounded by others, part of me was overwhelmed at times and needed a break. Mostly, though, as selfish as it is, was because of Marshall. Xavier cocked his head, confused at that. I thought you didn't know what happened to him. I don't. And that was the problem. Months of no word about him, of investigating dead ends, of sitting there and hoping he'd show up. I couldn't take it anymore. Not being able to roam and try to find him, so I left. There's some silence between us then as Xavier thinks it over. I'm sure he's criticizing me for putting my personal life in front of the needs of others. I know I have. I'm surprised then to look at him and find an appreciative look sprawled across his face. It couldn't have been an easy decision to make. You gave a lot of yourself to Haven, and I'm sure they're grateful for that. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. I don't think any less of you for it. If anything, after hearing all that, I only think more highly. what you did with Haven is an impressive feat that not many could manage. Cut yourself some slack. It was almost like he was a mind reader, that the way he knew exactly what I was thinking. I felt myself begin to blush a bit at the kind words, my heart only warming further towards trusting the bat. Thanks, kid. That means a lot. I feel my smile grow a bit mischievous as I look at him. Now that you know I'm a bit of a celebrity, however, I have to ask, you want an autograph? I accentuate my statement with a wink, to which he rolls his eyes. As if your scribble on a piece of paper would be worth anything. It could be. Never underestimate the value of a signature. Yeah, I'll make sure to learn it so I can forge it onto all my future doctor notes to get out of gym class. Do those actually work? Based off of my past experiences, yes, they do. My gym teacher either caught on or thought I was horribly ill, but I'm also not a doctor, so my signature would be worthless in that regard. Thank God you aren't. I wasn't ready to give up apples. I thought back on his statement for a moment. Did you really never try it growing up, though? Apples? Of course I did. They're my favorite fruit. Must resist urge. I thought I was your favorite fruit. Resistance failed. Figured. Xavier shoots me the same judging look from when we left the campsite, and I put my hands up in defense. Hey, it's not my fault you set yourself up for that one. I also wasn't referring to apples with my question. He rolls his eyes before continuing the conversation. Then what were you talking about? The doctor's note part. Oh, yeah, I never really gave it a shot. I doubt it would have even worked. How come? Are you a bad liar? I told you that shirt looked nice, didn't I? No. Oh. Well, that shirt looks really nice on you. I glare at him. What's wrong with my shirt? The bat continues talking as if I hadn't said anything. My lying skills aside, I never tried it because I was homeschooled. My parents took me out when I was young and taught me all the way to a college level. Oh, so that's what you meant when you said you were sheltered. Yep, never had the chance to go to a public school to make friends. Just me, my parents, some textbooks, and the internet. If you had the internet, why didn't you try to make friends that way? I made a few from around the world, and even some from around here. Hope they're all okay. Xavier looks suddenly uncomfortable at my remarks, fiddling with his hands awkwardly. I'd rather avoid that topic for now, please. It's a rather touchy subject for me. Right. Sorry. You got it. An awkwardness that usually follows this kind of situation began to rise between us, the tension slowly thickening the atmosphere as we walked. I had to think. From what I knew about Xavier, what were topics he enjoyed? There had to be something to cheer him up. It clicked to me suddenly as I remembered a point of interest from our conversation this morning. Say, we have some time to kill as we walk. How about you take out that book of yours and you can start teaching me Morse code? In an instant, Xavier seemed to perk up at the suggestion. Really? You want to learn? Of course I do, Xavier. It never hurts to pick up a new skill. You'll never know when it may come in handy. He excitedly pulled a book from a bigger pocket on his quiver, flipping a few pages in before looking up at me. All right. I don't know how much exactly you know about Morse code, so I'll start from the very basics. Essentially, it's a system of dashes and dots that are used to make up the alphabet, numbers, and some symbols. It can also be used for a variety of different signals, which we'll get to eventually. It can be used both in writing and in sound, though the latter is more common as it helps send messages via the radio in disguise. I thought about that last part for a moment. Newsflash, kid, but we don't exactly have much technology anymore. Nobody's been able to use any sort of electronics since that day. Not even good old-fashioned AA batteries. Doesn't matter anyhow. There are other ways to use it with sound. I'll teach you an easy and important phrase to start off with. Xavier sliced a quiver off his shoulders and removes the small notebook and pen I gave him earlier, flipping to a blank page near the back. The most known and one of the easiest to transmit is SOS. I'm assuming you know it, but it's a commonly known distress signal. Fun fact, it was developed for maritime use and doesn't actually stand for anything despite what some people might say. You'll hear people claim that it stands for stuff like save our souls, but that's all complete BS. Moving back to my point, however, the translation for this would be three dots, three dashes, and three dots. These make up the corresponding letters to the signal. He holds the notebook in front of me to show me what he's written, the notebook corresponding with what he just said. Three dots, three dashes, three dots. Okay. S is three dots. O is three dashes. Something wasn't clicking for me, though. That's great and all, but how do we do dashes if there isn't anything to make the prolonged sound? Simple. We use three quick taps instead. Hold on. Let me just... Xavier takes a look around the trail, moving around a bit to pick up two sticks and turning to face me. Oh, okay. I specifically didn't immediately start reading because I figured there might be an audio cue, an audio accompaniment for that, and that was cool. He then taps the sticks together in the order of SOS: 3 hits, 3 sets of quick taps, and 3 more hits. That's cool. That's how you would signal SOS. It's always good to know just in case something happens and you end up in danger. Here, give it a try. He hands me the sticks and I attempt to repeat what he just did. It's a bit messy, my rhythm never having been that good, but it comes across just fine. I imagine it would be hard to screw up. Just like that. See, an old dog can learn new tricks. I shoot him a glare, but can't help laughing along with him. He's right, though. This is something useful I can use to my advantage. Increasing one's skill set is always a bonus. Leveled up, or I don't know, skill increased +1. I'm also just excited to learn more. What's next then? Oh, Xavier and I spend the next hour and a half or so studying Morse code together. I've managed to learn a few letters so far, but not enough to be able to fully translate it. Okay, can you tell me what I just tapped out to you? Of course I can. Then what was it? Next question. Xavier shakes his head, a smile on his muzzle. You're hopeless. An idea seems to pop into his head as he speaks. Give me a minute. I know what to do. The bat flips to a new page in the notebook and starts writing something down. I take the time to observe the scenery as he does so. The trail we're walking has taken an uphill slant and has for a short while now. We're getting close to our next stop. I glance over at Xavier, worrying about what comes next. It'll certainly hurt, but it's probably the best way to handle this. Wait, what? He needs to see it for himself. I slip my bag in front of me once more and slide out the pocket watch to check the time. We're running a little behind schedule, but not enough to have much of an impact. Without this memento, I'd never been able to keep track of the days as they passed. Even when he's not here, Marshall still finds a way to take care of me. As I'm zipping the pocket back up, Xavier finishes his writing. And done. This should help you. He carefully tears the page out of the book and hands it to me. I look down at the paper and see his impressively neat handwriting. Oh, okay. Is this a cheat sheet? I prefer the term study guide, but yes. The page has every letter written with the associated dashes and dots next to them. Also included are the numbers 0 through 9 and some punctuation marks. It'll be easier reading over those since it's all gathered in one place. You can take the time to analyze and memorize everything whenever you have some time. Thanks, kid. I'll make sure to put it to good use. I fold the paper up a few times and slide it into the breast pocket of my shirt for easy access. Say, how are you feeling right now? Xavier glances over at me, a brightness in his eyes. I'd say I'm alright. Why do you ask? I've got a personal question for you, something I've been wondering about. I've been asking you a lot of stuff. It's only fair I give you something in return. Ask away. I'm not sure the best way to phrase it, but I noticed you only have one wing. Realization dawns on Xavier's face. You want to know what happened to my wing, then? If you don't mind. He looks a bit sad suddenly as he faces downward. It was stolen from me when I was young. Sold on the black market for whatever sick purpose they had come up with. Ooh. They do that to people? Well, I guess that does happen, like organs and stuff. My face immediately flushes with shame at having him bring up that trauma. I don't know what to say. The bat meets my eyes as I struggle to find my voice. Ah, damn, Xavier, I'm. My words are cut off with a sudden boisterous laughter as Xavier begins cackling to himself. What? He just. Oh my god. What the heck? Kind of sick, twisted. Holy crap! There's no way you actually believe that. He continues to laugh at as my shame quickly turns to embarrassment. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? Seriously. I don't know, but for a man who preaches caution, you really let your guard down on that one. It takes a solid minute before Xavier is able to speak properly again, having laughed himself so hard that he needed to catch his breath. I can't believe I fell for that lie. I was so quick to believe him I didn't even stop to question things as I usually would. Just goes to show how much I've grown to trust him in such little time. You done now? Yeah, I'm fine. Told you I was a good liar. Yes, point you. Now answer my damn question, please. There's no sob story or anything. It's a simple reason. I was born without it. The doctor said it was some kind of extremely rare genetic defect. I've been this way all my life, so I've never been able to fly or anything, as much as I've always dreamed of it. Well, that's a shame. If you had two wings, you could fly? People can fly in this world? That's kind of cool. Must have been tough, though. It's had its moments, but overall I don't let it affect me much. It's a part of me I can't change, so I've accepted it and moved on. No point in wasting energy on hating myself when I can spend it on being happy instead. Truer words have never been spoken. The incline we're walking suddenly gets a lot steeper, and I can see the area I'm heading for not much farther ahead. Oh boy, I feel like I kind of have an idea of what he's just going to try and show him. Xavier seems to finally take notice of our upward journey as well. Wait, how long have we been hiking uphill? For a little while now. We'll set up camp after we hit the top. This only managed to confuse him more. I don't understand. Shouldn't we be heading downwards instead? I told you we'd have a few pit stops before we got there. This is the last one of the day. I stopped before we reached the top, unable to see what waits up there for us, and turned to Xavier. This will be painful to see, but I'm right here with you, okay? His confusion began to veer further towards concern. Dorian? What's going on? Well, we'll be coming upon a cliff just ahead. With it, you'll be able to get a proper view of the city. Okay. I'm not sure where the problem is. I sigh at him. There's a difference between being told something and actually seeing it for yourself, Xavier. You know things were destroyed, and I'm sure you even saw some of it. What you're about to see, though, is the world as it truly is now. And I promise you, no matter how prepared you might feel, that it won't be easy to see. Xavier nodded at me. I know you're right, but I'm ready for it all the same. He began tapping his fingers against his leg, likely as a nervous tick to help him stay calm. Let's go, then. I take a deep breath and continue forwards, Xavier following at my right side. As we step forward, another clearing comes into view, the ground having plateaued out. Across from us is another trail going downwards, and to the right is an opening in the dense foliage. The edge of the cliff. Xavier immediately is drawn towards it, his curiosity overtaking him. I let him go and turn my attention elsewhere. Okay. I walk into the area and place my bag down, removing the tent and beginning to set it up while the warm-toned sky edges ever slowly closer towards night. Oh, you're not gonna see it today? I actually paused my timer because I had about 17 seconds left, but I was like, well, let me see the view at least, but maybe that'll be for next time. Having done this several times in the past, I'm able to handle the task with relative ease, and the shelter is set up in no time. I glance around, looking for Xavier. He's still seated on the cliff face, turned away from me, and staring off into the distance. Did he already see it? Oh, walking towards him, I catch sight of the view for myself. Are we gonna see it? Oh, there it is. I stare into the distance, taking in the scenery before me. My gaze first falls upon the edges of our city, towards the overgrown suburbs. They're damaged like the rest of the place, but less so but less so the closer to the surrounding forests you get. Flora has taken hold of it, growing unnaturally quick in the past year. The trees spring up amongst the battered houses, casting shadows onto the forsaken ground beneath them. The further in I look, the worse the damage begins to grow. The fallen buildings caused quite the destruction to its surroundings, having knocked into each other and smattering the city with debris. The skeletal remains of skyscrapers populating the horizon create the outline of a city long gone from what once could be considered its prime. Rays of warm sunlight cascade and glisten among the shattered glass, decorating the broken world we now find ourselves in, dotting the territory as if it were a night sky. Perhaps there's still a chance at a future, at a way of uniting once more and repairing everything. Then I see it again, the thing that often drains the hope from my body. It's hard to make out from here, but I know it's there. The scar. As if someone had raked an unsharpened blade against the crust of the earth. A giant gash carves the landscape in two. Directly down the middle of our city, from lakeshore to an unknown distance farther than the eye can see, is a chasm too wide to properly cross. Oh my gosh. The water from the lake flows over and into it, though it never seems to drain. The wound itself goes impossibly deep, as I've been told, to the point where you can't even see the bottom. The edges are densely populated by faded, making it an unnecessary risk to even attempt to approach it purposefully. It's a scar, a mark to remind us that this is now a broken world, forever changed by whatever happened that day. At the same time as I grieve what once was, I can't help but admire the beauty that comes with the destruction as well. There's something in us that always seems to crave a look at. There's something in us all that always seems to crave a look at misfortune, to see it for ourselves and admire it. I'm drawn into the view every single time, the highlights of sunset combining with the hidden greenery overtaking the urban landscape. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, wiping a tear from my face as I look away from the sight. Instead, I move my gaze downward towards Xavier, seeing the tears flowing down his cheeks silently as he stares. I look back up as well, and we stand in silence while the sun slowly sinks further towards being out of sight. It's really gone, huh? I nod, letting my silence speak for itself. He takes a shuddering breath in return. Do you think we'll ever be able to get things back to the way they used to be? I take a few moments before I respond. I'd be lying if I said I knew. I don't think it'll ever be the same as it once was. A small sob comes from my friend beside me. But that doesn't mean they won't get better. It'll take time, but the world is always changing, and we can push it towards a change for the better. Right now, we have each other. That may not be much, but I think it's one heck of a start. I've seen enough of this life to tell you there's always a brighter day after the storm. I smile softly to myself. Who better to hear that advice from than an old man? A light chuckle now comes from Xavier, the joke seeming to have landed. Now that you know what you're up against, allow me to properly introduce you to this world. I take a step closer to the edge so Xavier can see me and turn to face him as he meets my eyes, my arm sweeping outward like an announcer taking the stage as a gesture to the city behind me. Well, kid, welcome to the apocalypse. A sad smile stretches across his muzzle as his stare drifts from me back to the unfortunate yet mesmerizing scenery. I move to sit down next to him, wrapping an arm around his shoulders to pull him in for a side hug. Thanks, Dorian. For what? Being here. Anytime. Xavier. He rests his head against me, and in turn, I rest mine atop his, watching the slow retreat of the sun lead the evening into night. Our journey may just be starting, but with Xavier around, I can't help but feel this newfound spark of hope. Like there's a voice in my head repeating the same 4 words. It'll all be okay. This definitely seems like a good place to end it. So thanks you guys for tuning in. I can't. Can I save at this point? Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. Because I definitely went over time, but I really wanted to see that view. It felt like a good culmination for for this episode. Um, and I also wanted to, and thankfully I think I still have time to do another visual novel episode because I'm finally gonna start Socially Awkward. I've been meaning to start it for a few days now, but I've just been busy, had things come up. Excuse me. But I'm gonna go ahead and get to recording that one even before I start editing this episode. I'm gonna try and have them uploaded at the same time, so people can have 2 different options of what they want to see. But yeah, this was actually really good. I really liked the culmination of this episode. That ending there was really breathtaking. It feels like I just actually started the story. Maybe all this was just a prologue, but this was fun. This was entertaining. I'm intrigued to see. I mean, this is the apocalypse. Where is this gonna go? But I'm also eager to do Socially Awkward, something not apocalyptic. A nice change of pace. And I'm curious to try doing some different voices and stuff. Hope you guys are liking it. Again, any suggestions about character voices that I should try and attempt? I'm no professional voice actor, but I feel like I might be getting better over time. But I guess we'll really see how that goes. But anywho, I don't think I have. I think that's it for announcements. I'm working on a schedule to get a few things out this week. Hopefully, a finish to that animatic for a Hero's Journey. That should be fun. But in the meantime, hope you guys have a good day. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and you feel free to like, leave comments, subscribe, all that good stuff. And take care till next time.